We're here? All right, welcome to Mastery Monday. It used to be True Health Tuesday, but now I've had to switch the schedule, so now I'm going to be in Mexico Tuesday. Okay, now we're going to do a quick review of golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, just all the stuff that you can do to get it working better. And then this is just a blast from the past because, I mean, I know everybody has a memory that's very, very short. If you can remember back a couple of years ago, from Ian Watson. If you have to be persuaded, reminded, lied to, incentivized, coerced, bullied, socially shamed, guilt-tripped, threatened, punished, and criminalized, if all of this is considered necessary to gain your compliance, you can be absolutely certain that what's being promoted is not in your best interest. Ian Watson. Okay, it's coming again, folks. If you thought, boy, we made it through that tyrannical thing, no, it's coming again. Now, we're going to do some, we're going to talk about toe-like receptors. And I can't say anything more than that on the second part that's going to be on the private site. I'm already having trouble with a couple of government agencies that are saying that it's like screaming fire in a theater, and that's not free speech, but I'm just going to talk about anatomy and physiology and the information that you can't have because of the censorship. And also Extreme Health Academy, we have 2 more weeks, and then we're going to be doing a seminar on that. So now, let's look at carpal tunnel syndrome, shoulder, elbow. All of these joints here, the wrist, elbow, and shoulder, 99% of the time, unless you're laying there all comfortable in bed, and then you have somebody that comes up and just beats your arm with a shovel, okay, they're going to be secondary causes. It's going to be coming from the neck. Now, you've got a nerve plexus called the brachial plexus that comes out of the base of the neck, and it supplies the whole arm. So if your head's forward or off, you also have this big opening here. And if you've ever seen the x-rays, it looks like bull horns. And that's called the outlet to the thoracic. Why? Because this is the thoracic, that's the outlet. So if your head's forward or off to the side or down, this is going to compromise that area. I just had a patient this morning that was talking to me like this, and they said, no, I don't have any neck problem whatsoever. And I'm going, yeah, you do. Okay, yeah, you can tell. So forward head carriage is huge, and you can see this 40 feet away, okay? If you're, out in front boycotting Target, you'll see people walking around like this. I'm sorry. Okay, this will play really good in 10 years when people forgot about the tuck-it bathing suits, okay? But, since you're out there boycotting this insanity, okay, and you see people walking around like this, they're also, when you're seeing a normal person stand, you're going to see thumbs. You're going to see their arms are internally rotated, the head's forward, body's off like this, and you're going to say, yeah, you've had a neck injury. No, my neck is fine. It doesn't hurt at all. Yeah. Really, okay. Now, brachial plexus, and what's weird is I can still draw this from memory. How messed up is that? Okay, it's teaching anatomy and physiology in a human dissection lab. I think that formaldehyde imprinted this in my brain. It's wild. But the brachial plexus, and this is the key. This is why when you look at the guy over there, okay, you're looking at dermatomes, area of skin supplied by a specific nerve root. And if you've ever had a shoulder injury, and I'm going to give you hints on this one, shoulder injuries do not radiate. If you have a shoulder problem, it hurts in the shoulder. That's it. If it radiates beyond, then there's going to be some other type of compression. It could be part of the nerve plexus compressed. It could be part of the neck. But it's literally along those patterns. And people will literally say, man, it hurts right here. And that's the 6th cervical nerve. I know exactly where that is. Or it hurts right along like that. That's the 8th cervical nerve. I know exactly where it is. So people will tell you. Journal of Orthopedic Sports and Physical Therapy. They say the literature doesn't contain a lot of this. But you're looking that posture and shoulder injuries are inconclusive based on several confounding variables. They're not looking at this because I don't know how screwed up most of the work comp system is or workman's compensation. In California, it's incredibly stupid. So like if you have a shoulder injury, you know, you're working at a warehouse, you're lifting patients, whatever, and your shoulder hurts, guess what? They only look at the shoulder. They don't look at the neck, they don't look at the rib cage, they don't look at the gait, they don't look at the sleep patterns. They don't try and look at your overall health because this is an incredibly ignorant system. Okay, I mean, if you twist an ankle and you're walking around like this for a month, do you think this is going to abnormally affect the systems? Of course it will. Okay, and when we look here, shoulder impingement, forward hunch posture can cause these tendons to become pinched and can lead to a tear, rotator cuff. Let's look at the rotator cuff, okay? So all of this stuff is coming from the neck. Have you ever heard of headaches? 97% of them are coming from the neck, or 93%. Shoulder, rotator cuff injuries, those are secondary in the neck, and we're looking at over 90% of the time. Golfer's elbow, tennis elbow. So you're looking at this area. Carpal tunnel syndrome. And if anyone says it runs in my family, I'm gonna scream. Because your great-great-grandparents, okay, were working with their hands until they were 90, okay, and 100 when they died. So no, defects of your structure don't happen, okay, unless you've been damaged. So all these things are problems coming from the neck. Then you got the cardiac and respiratory center. And we talk about this at the importance of the cervical spine. Headaches that coming from the neck, okay? Well, I mean, you've got 93% come from the neck. You've got 6% from alcohol. Oh, you know what the good solution is for a headache from alcohol? Don't drink, okay? And you might say, well, that's not that fun. Okay, then it depletes your body of minerals, okay, and vitamin C and hydration. Just know the solution to pollution is dilution. So drink more water and minerals and don't get damaged. Okay, now, ignored causes. The neurogenic, that means you have a compromised nerve that leads to that area. Or you can have a muscle imbalance here. Or you can have a muscle imbalance here, okay? Vascular, that's forward head carriage, and mechanical distortions, because we're going to see how all this stuff works. Now, when we have somebody with a shoulder, elbow, wrist, whatever, guess what's one of the first things I ask them? How many bowel movements a day do you have? Now, isn't that weird? If you're a work comp doctor, you're going, well, that doesn't make sense because they don't poop out of the shoulder. No, if someone's in a, I know, okay. If they're in a stress state, and we're talking physical, chemical, emotional stress, they're not able to regenerate, okay? And if they're in a constant fight or flight state, they're gonna have one poop a day if they're lucky. Their sleep patterns are poor. So any doctor out there trying to fix somebody with any of this stuff, you have to look at the entire body, whether they pay you or not, okay? And if the system's corrupt, which is, then fight the system. Now here's a patient. That is a reverse curve in the neck. Human neck's curve in the front. Her neck is reversed. How can you tell if we're going to fix it? You put in an extension and take a picture. That's the curve there. So, oh, cool. It's a reverse curve, but it can be corrected because the joints aren't fused. Then we look at the rib cage area. Is that straight up and down or off to the side? Now, knowing that that shoulder has 18 muscles that guide it up and down the shoulder, that whole rib cage area, and one bony attachment called a clavicle. Here's a good question. Do you think you should look at the thoracic area? Yeah. I know, duh. Okay, yeah, I mean, but this is just common sense. So now, if you do have, and this is bursitis, I mean, bursa sacs are everywhere. Figure you have muscles that attach, that, I don't know if you got good views. See all the scars on my arms? Yeah, my garden looks great though. I had to put this wire around it to keep the possums and neighborhood cats out. Yeah, but I couldn't remove it, so I'm having it, yeah. Well, anyway, okay, so you've got muscles that attach to bones via tendons. Now, all those tendons go across joints. So they could heat up with friction. So every tendon is surrounded with a sac full of fluid, and it's called bursa fluid, which is superfiltrated blood. So this is, now if you have someone with bursitis, Itis means inflammation. That means the bursa sac is missing bursa fluid. Now, if you put ice on this, does that increase blood flow or decrease it? It decreases it. So if there's a bad doctor out there still recommending ice for bursitis, okay, look at what the problem is, okay? And it literally is lack of fluid to that joint or altered mechanics, okay? Heat, and I'm talking 99% of it, is going to be fantastic because that's going to rush blood to the area. It's like if you put hot cloth here and take it away, what color's your hand? It's going to be pink. That's because the brain senses that difference in temperature and increases the blood flow, so we're tricking the brain. Now, the only exception, if you've ever seen the electron bursa, again, sometimes these things on the elbow can look huge. Okay, now that is something you don't want to put heat on because, I mean, think of this. If you have a balloon, and there's bursa sacs are all balloons, but they've got a blood flow flowing into it and a blood flow flowing out of it. So if it's expanding, is that a problem with blood flowing to it or blood flowing away from it? Away from it, yeah, and this I see this a lot on knees. I mean, a huge amount on knees, where there's tons of bursa sacs on the back half of it and the front half of it, and will distract. And I got to tell you, working that tissue out, we're increasing, decreasing the pressure of those bursa sacs if they're swollen, and it is not comfortable. What's the opposite of comfortable? Sucks. Okay, it's uncomfortable as all get out, but oh my gosh, the results are amazing. It's miraculous. But you've got to heat this, and if the bursa sac is swollen, you got to get to a corrective chiropractor to work it. Now, supraspinatus, or actually, let's go with the rotator cuff. This bone's called the humerus. It's held in the socket by muscles called rotators. If any of those muscles get weak, and supraspinatus is the most commonly injured, you want to know why? Because it's at the top. It's right up here on top of the scapula. So if the head's forward or off, it's going to be the first one injured. Now, if any of those four muscles, the rotator cuffs, get weak, the humerus doesn't fall out, it falls up because there's a massive deltoid. So you're strong as heck when your arms are here, but if you go like this or work overhead, it's going to hurt. And I'm going to show you, and this is really subtle. Okay, this is why when you're talking to a real chiropractor or someone that's experienced with humans, they're going to see the difference between this. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, now you're going to see the difference. Okay, you're going to see, okay, let me see you lift your arm. Ah, you've got an unstable shoulder. You have a rotator cuff injury. How do you know? You can't see through. Yeah, I know, because it lift up and then go out, okay? So one of the keys is to reform the labrum. Now, you've got one of the biceps, attaches that, but the labrum, just like the fossas, I mean, just like all of the structures of the body, it's alive. It's living. So even if there's a tear, it's living tissue. Okay, and people say, well, it's avascular. Well, it doesn't mean it's acellular. Those cells are alive. And a lot of doctors, particularly the ones that are still prescribing toxic chemicals to alter your physiology, they're called, well, I know you're a medical doctor, but you don't do that, okay? So I don't know, they're not smart, okay? If you're prescribing a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory like Advil, Motrin, Aleve, those things destroy the building block of cartilage. It's not smart to destroy the building block of what you're trying to fix. That doesn't make sense. To make somebody more comfortable. So all of these lesions can be repaired. And I've never, ever sent anyone for shoulder surgery yet. Okay, there may be somebody out there. But I mean, I had one guy that actually crushed his humeral head, and he went in for some like minor, you know, like a skin lesion or something. And they put him out. When he woke up, he was missing part of his brain. He had a lot of memory issues, so he was scared to death of anesthesia. Now, you might think, oh, how horrible. No, that's very, very common. I think it's like 3 to 5% of the people that go under anesthesia come back with missing part of their memory or brain fog or things like that. It's super common, but they don't tell you that. You have to sign a paper that says you were told that, but you know, it happens. And so he wanted to do something other than surgery. And I said, well, your humeral head is crushed. He says, well, what would you do? And I said, well, if we were in the jungles of, you know, Peru or something, and, you know, you were, you know, on this. So I gave him a weight and pulled it down like this, okay? And did that hurt? No, it's okay. Because remember, all the bones and stuff, they're generally encased. And this looked almost exploded. It looked like it wasn't a solid bone. And so we had him just do this, just hold that weight so it's opening it up. And then we had him just swing it after day 3, day 4. Because remember, 4 to 5 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, the bone's brand new. So if you can start working this and opening it up and not lifting it, I mean, for sure you're not going to do any craziness like that. But he was so scared of going under anesthesia. I mean, he ended up getting 95% of his range of motion. It's fantastic. You know, that's why when you trust the body to heal, it really heals. Now, this is one of the greatest exercises ever. So if you have a torn rotator cuff, you're going to fix the neck, restore the nerve supply, but you got to drop it down in place. And then you're just going to go butt to belly. So think of like a clock, like, so nice and easy. This is a ligamentous-based exercise, but you got to have enough weight to pull that arm down. So if you have a normal arm like this, it's got to be at least 20 pounds. Okay, and I get a lot of people who've had strokes and things, and they don't know their fingers, just the fingers curled up can hold the weight. Okay, it's fantastic. You see these people who've had strokes and everything else, and they say, no, I can't even hold a coffee cup. And I'll hold their arm, I'll core the fingers around it, and they're going, oh, this is so cool. You know, I mean, it's because, you know, you got that inner strength. It's fun to work with it. This is the craziest exercise everywhere. Because most people, remember, watch this, normal, abnormal, okay? If this is a distorted labrum, that means it's floating around in the socket. You do not want to do full range of motion. That doesn't make sense because it's fallen out of the socket. You're just going to damage the structures. But what do a lot of physical therapists do? They check their range of motion. Oh, good, you're gotten so much better. Oh, you've gotten so much better. Who cares? Let's get that curve in the neck, restore that, and it works better. Now, things you shouldn't do when you have a shoulder injury is no end range of motions. I mean, you can do some, you know, grab the cup off of the top shelf, but, you know, I'm talking not a lot of overhead lifting. You don't want to do that stuff until you form the socket and you get the curve back. And I'm talking, this is as little as like 2-3 weeks, okay, in the majority of cases. I've got a couple of professional athletes that I'm saying, look, you know, for off season, do this before and after each workout so you can reform that labrum. And then, you know, they're always doing that overhead stuff, throwing that ball into the hoop. Okay, now, bursitis. This is the electron burst, and this is the tough one. Okay, if you've had this, now think of this. You've got bursa sacs that fluid's flowing in and fluid's flowing out. Okay, this one's filling up. So is it a problem with inflow or flowing out? Outflow. Yep, that's it. So what do? You increase the pressure of it. And there's the same thing that you do with those bursa sacs or Baker's cysts or anything on the knees too. You have to increase the pressure in there to literally blow out the valves. So this one you're going to wrap. And I wouldn't take drugs to cover up the pain. This one, you could use ice, okay? But just that pressure on it is going to feel amazing. And then work it. But where's this coming from? The neck. You got to make sure the neck is corrected. You've got good blood flow, good venous flow, okay? And then it's going to start working better. Golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, everything. Okay, so now, here, I'm going to leave the screen just for a second because I got to get something. I forgot to get this. Okay, now, there's a couple of very expensive pieces of equipment that you need. Okay, number 32 rubber band. And by the way, I love my Thailand clinic, but the rubber bands over there, I think they're real rubber. These are badass. I mean, if you have a rubber band fight with these suckers, you could take down at something. I mean, they're big, okay? Yeah, but these, number 32, are the best. And I'd recommend starting with one, okay, as weird as it is. But when you look at the tunnel itself, what we used to do, and you can see the picture up there, I used to reflect the skin back, and you could literally stick a dime in that hole in a regular size hand. And I mean, so it's that big. But now you got muscles on this side, the front side, you got muscles on the back side. Now the muscles on the front close the hand. Those are called flexors. Muscles on the back open the hand. Those are extensors. So now the strength ratio should be about a 5-to-4. So this should be almost as strong, except we're not making fishing nets anymore. So the extensors are very, very weak. So number one thing, you're going to put your hand like a flower bud and then form it into a claw. But what do you have to do? I'm going to demonstrate it incorrectly. Now I'm going to demonstrate it correctly. What did I do? You know, you got to restore the nerve to the neck. It's just, I want you to keep in mind with this, because these muscles go underneath this band of tissue called a flexor and extensor retinaculum. And it's that white tissue down there on that left one. And it's amazing because it looks just like a tennis bracelet. And in crazy world, instead of restoring the curve in the neck or correcting the muscle imbalance or maybe adjusting the elbow or adjusting the wrist bones, these guys that have no knowledge, okay, just enough, they're going to go in there and cut that flexor retinaculum, just cut it to take the pressure off of the median nerve. Okay, I mean, it's mind-blowing. How about we use this very expensive tape, okay, so and it's called electric tape. The reason that we use this, and we use this for injuries, for everything else, I don't know, oh, God, I got some paint here too that I was painting this weekend. Okay, so look at this, I got hair on my arms, it doesn't stick to it. Okay, and how many guys in here have had duct tape on their arms? Yes, that hurts. Okay, so this one, I'm going to show you how to apply this in just a few moments. But look, you know, we're talking before and after, before and after, before and after. Okay, so obviously you can correct this. How do you correct a problem in the neck? Do a stress x-ray and see what it is. And it's just very, very simple adjusting. This one here, I call it the Thur curve. Invented it years and years and years ago, and this is very, very fancy. I know what you're saying. Isn't that rock climbing webbing? Yes, it is. Okay. Isn't that pipe insulation? Yes, it is. And I have a patient that sewed this thing at, you know, so I mean, we're talking really simple. You could use a towel, you could use a shirt, you can use anything. You pull down with about 2 pounds of pressure. Okay, and this is only to give a pivot, because when people move their neck, they go, Jock, you know, man, this weekend my neck hurt like heck, but it feels really good now. And I go, brother, you're not moving your neck, okay, you know? So you isolate this and put your chin to the ceiling, look straight ahead and relax. So chin to the ceiling, straight ahead. So you're not bending back, you're bending up, okay? And we typically recommend about 100 a day. I made a mistake once, and this guy, I mean, really tough guy, he said, do I have any limits? And I said, well, no, you know, we recommend 100 a day. And then he comes in like 3 days later and go, God, my neck is so sore. Well, what are you up to? He's about 3,000. Okay, so there is a limit. I learn stuff every day. But this one's really cool. Okay, so this is for adults. For kids, and again, we got kids, what are the sign of neck problems in kids? Ear infections, ear effusions. Okay, so, you know, they're not going to do this thing because they're going to, you know, play with it, make a slingshot out of it, you know, do all the stuff I would do when I was a kid. You're right, I still do it, okay? But they can watch TV for 20 minutes. So look, lay on your tummy, get your elbows like this, lift up, and watch your favorite TV show for at least 20 minutes. Okay, I know, it's super simple. The adjustments are super easy. You don't need to turn the head. When we're adjusting, we're turning the head no more than 10 to 15 degrees. It's not, it's very, very simple. Okay. I'm using this finger, not this one, this finger to adjust, so it's like very, very easy. Okay, so now this, number 32 rubber band. Now, I call it a flower bud. You can call it whatever the heck you want. Okay, flower bud to claw. And when you're doing this, you want your fingers to spread. And so I'll say, yeah, spread the fingers like you're going to do it. And then people go like this. No, you can do it behind your back, under your leg, under the arm. Okay, you're just going to be stretching it. But you got to do it to fatigue. Okay, now this, what you're going to do is put your thumb and pinky together. And see what that does? That forms that tunnel there. And then these are the metacarpals. That's where you want to go. You don't want to go around the wrist. So right there, you got the hypothenar and the thenar region, the big muscles down there. And then this one, you're going to put your thumb and pinky together and go around the bottom. Okay, then you can see it forms that tunnel. And this is only to be used if in extreme circumstances where I got people that they haven't slept in like 4 or 5 years. They had one operation and this didn't work well and it still hurts and they wake up every night. So I'll give them the electric tape thing and they, oh my God, this is amazing. I could sleep all night. Yeah, so it's just a trick to maintain that tunnel. But the real challenge or the real solution is to restore the curve in the neck, correct the muscle imbalance, and do that rubber band, flower bud to claw. Yeah, it works fantastic. I mean, and then you're not going to need the tape for very long because restoring the curve, it fixes it very, very quickly. Now, so how do you fix, and by the way, guess what that does? It helps restore the muscle balance of the flexors and extensors. What's golfer and tennis elbow? It's ulnar and radius. There's going to be two things. Now, all the muscles that close the hand attach to this bone called the ulnar. And the ulnar, and this is for practitioners, typically, and I'm talking like 80% of the time, maybe 85%, it goes medial on the inside. And so we've got a number of adjusting classes that I talk about, upper extremity adjusting, but it's literally, you've got to supinate for the ulnar, pull it apart, okay, and adjust it, and it's very, very simple. You're not going to hyperextend. Anybody that whips the elbow or whips the wrist when they're adjusting it, call me, and I'll whip theirs. You don't need to do this. It's so simple. It's like adjusting the extremities feels good. Okay, but just know what you got to do. Any carpal tunnel, shoulder, golfers, you got to get a full set of x-rays. Look at the neck, mid-back, low back. Get the labrum exercises, balance it with the curve restoration, restore the lordosis, the kyphosis, supplements, eliminate prescriptions that are toxic to tissue regeneration. And that's not even prescription, just over the counter. It's just not good for you. Okay, I mean, I had a patient today that says, oh, it was hurting so bad, so I had to take Advil. And in my brain, it's like, I hurt so bad, I had to have something that would destroy my building blocks of cartilage, the proteoglycan production. Plus, I wanted to damage my kidneys, and I really wanted to increase my risk of heart attack by 20%. So I had to take that Advil. It's like, no. Look at the other pain relievers. I mean, you can get, vitamin C, omega-3s, both have good anti-inflammatory properties and help rebuild the tissue. Direct application of heat or ice, depending on what it is. There's a lot of things you can do, but remember, get out of this insane culture that gives a toxic medication to handle symptoms. I mean, this is 100 years from now, they go, whoa, you lived back in those times? Didn't you wish you were living back in the Spanish Inquisition? That was so much smarter. Okay, so this is what you need. You need proper nerve supply, identify the friggin' problem. You need regular exercise, and that's going to be, we do ligamentous-based or the muscular-based, but you got to make sure that you understand what the problem is. proper nutrition, sufficient rest, and prayer and meditation. There's a reason we put these 5, because that's all you need. Now, we're going to be getting into dangerous territory. And I know it's our first Monday night, but this is going to be put on, if you're watching through the Dr. B VIP, you'll watch uninterrupted. But we're going to talk about, something I can't put on. Okay, so next Monday night, same bat channel, same bat time. And if anybody has any suggestions, my youngest boy said Mastery Mondays, because I like True Health Tuesdays. I came up with that. Okay. But Mastery Mondays, Monday something that rhymes,